Good morning, everybody. How you doing? I'm Michael King, and I'm going to take you through the process of fixing this painting I did on location, plein air. All right. So first things first, I did this on location in Pitt Meadows back in December, and pretty much this is what the scene looked like. You had a big bank of trees in the back, farmer's field in the foreground. Oh, past a river. There's a river right here, and these beautiful clouds that I really loved, and I had to really get those in first, and then I had to work on the landscape. And in hindsight, now, although this is what I saw, it doesn't really create a great of a scene. It's kind of foreground trees to stop you from going to the clouds. You kind of jump to the clouds and you never really return to the trees themselves. So I thought what we're going to do is we're going to fix this. And I'm going to be doing a few things here. I'm not going to touch the clouds. I like them where they are. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of erase a lot of these trees, change some shapes. In the foreground, I'm going to leave the direction of the fields this way, but in this area here, I'm going to change them this way. So that's splitting up the foreground a little bit. I'm going to also accentuate some buildings in the background here near the trees to help pop them out, to give you a sense that yes, it is a farm. And so that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. First things first, though, I got to scrape. There's quite a bit of texture on here, so I got to scrape off the texture where I don't want it. So where all these trees are, I'll just reduce that texture. Sorry for the loud noise. There we go. So that was easy. Next part is we are going to oil out. So this is an oil painting. It's dry. What I need to do now is put a layer of oil on top of it so I can see the saturations of the color and also the values. So you can see, hopefully you can see, if you put this on here, it changes the values a little bit, especially the darks primarily, not so much the lights. So we'll just put a coat of oil on here all over. I'll even do the sky, even though I probably won't be touching it. You never know, I might. I've been in that situation before where I've done a painting or corrected a painting and had it. I just oiled out the section that I wanted to change, and I ended up wanting to change more of it, so I had to oil out again, and it created problems. So we'll just scrub the oil. It's just linseed oil. With acrylic painting, you wouldn't have to do this, of course. You just paint acrylic on top. And what we'll do is we'll just wipe it off. And I'm not removing everything. What you want, essentially, is when you run your finger around it, you get a sheen on your finger. So there's such a thin layer of oil on there, and it helps to bring out the saturation of the colors and adjust the values, but it also allows the new oil paint to adhere better to the foundation paint. Clean that off. Now we got to get into a mixture here of, since I'm erasing a lot of these trees, there will be a distant field, a cranberry field back here, but I do have to mix the sky color, which I remember being white, and chances are it's cobalt, but it's just so little in there that this is probably too dark. Yeah, it's too dark. There's a little bit of yellow in there as well, not a ton. So we want to get it close. A little variation is okay. It doesn't have to be exact. Let's get a tiny bit of yellow here. This is a high light color. There we go. So where are these trees going to come? They're going to come. We're going to adjust some shapes here. And we're going to pretty much just obliterate all this. Come back in later with some maybe we'll get rid of that entirely there. Create one of those scenarios where you can see a bit of field between the distance trees. Let me just do this. Try to match the same brush strokes as I had before. Try to cover that right up. And since this is the horizon, I think I will add a tiny bit more yellow, because we do see yellow in the horizon. A little more. So then all in all, this should be about an hour or so, or less, depending on how quick I can paint. Alright, so already we can kind of see a transition from here where we have the buildings, which we'll accentuate in a few minutes, moving over here, and then you can come up to the clouds a little bit easier. And when we add a little distance field in here, we're going to be able to make that transition a little bit easier, because right now it's kind of harsh, right? So if we got another value in here, it'll kind of flow us up. Don't really have a flow down, but we'll see how it goes. Live and learn. Everything's a masterpiece until it's not. Get rid of those. Maybe bring this in a little bit more here. If you have any questions, shoot in the chat. I'm going to add a little more yellow to that horizon, just because. Mix and test, mix and test. I think I test my paints more than I mix. Or, I mean, more than I paint. Because you got to mix it and test it. If it's not right, why bother? Right, so there you go. A little more color in there. Let's accentuate that a little bit more. Not a lot, but get the brush strokes in there. There we go. Maybe a tiny bit over here. This is just a bristle brush. I found it's great for just roughing in stuff. We'll worry about the finer details later. All right. Now let's think about those distance fields. We'll mix a sort of just a light green for the distance, and then I'll put in some sort of a pinky red for the blueberry fields. Right now all the blueberry bushes are extremely red, and as you get further in the distance they become quite pink. So I have this mixture here and I'm just going to test it. That's too pale, so we got to go in. I'm just using a Viridian white, and we'll test it again. Now I like that. I'll add a tiny bit more though, because I think it's a little bit light. So we're getting close to it. Excellent. So I'll take this wonderful brush, nice tiny round, and we will put in the distance field here. There we go. I think it needs to be quite a bit darker now that I look at it. Throw in some more Viridian. Might throw in a touch of yellow ochre. Not much. Can be powerful sometimes. The value is what I'm looking for right now. Value is number one. If you have to get the right value. Color's kind of secondary. I'm being a little more gentle than I usually would if I was out in the field, but that's because I want to correct this painting. Put the field over here a little bit. Over here. And you can sort of see it on the video a little bit, and it's still not dark enough. So I'm gonna actually jump it up. So mix and test. You think you got it right, change it. You make a decision, you go with it, and then you make another decision and go with that. If you're not making decisions in your painting, and you're just wasting your time. Let's try this. Put that right to there, right to here. There we go. That's a little bit better. Gives an illusion of a distance field. I will take some of this background color I want to add, and I'm just gonna thin that field out a little bit. And soften that back edge. See how that goes. Now with these buildings, I'm just going to hop around where I think I need to go with these buildings. You can see them, but you can't really see them. They're little dark spots. What I want to do is just add a little bit of lightness to them. So I'm just going to get a dirty, warm gray. So ultramarine, transparent red oxide, and a little bit of white. And if you put in more red oxide, then it's a little more warmer. And if you want it cooler, you put in a little more ultramarine blue. We do a test. I like the warmth, but the temperature is a bit off, or not temperature, the value. So I just want to put a little bit of white into it. Yeah, let's give that a shot. And I'll just put that there. There we are. And then another one right there. So now those buildings come out a little bit more. I'll fix the roof in a second, because it was like a ready roof, but I don't want it too powering. So generally what I do is I take some red and some ultra and then a little bit of Viridian. This is like a permanent red, alizarin crimson. Throw in some white, reduce the value. If the red is too much, then I put in more Viridian to kill the red, you know, complements, stuff like that. A little bit too dark, because the roof will get a little more light than the sides of the building, just the way it is, because of the sun coming down. There we go. Give that a shot. Just representing building in the background. And I want to add that cranberry field back here. So I could probably use that same mixture, but I'm going to go straight from my white and my permanent alizarin crimson, because those blueberry fields are a bit, they're damn bright. And I'll throw a little bit of mixed black in there. My mixed black consists of ultramarine blue and my transparent red oxide. And I'll try to use a palette knife here. Blueberry field here. So just putting it over that original green field I had. And of course, it wasn't as steady as I wanted to be, so I got to fix it. Oh, the pains of studio painting. Tell you, rather much paint outside. So we'll just fix this here. There we go. So I actually like that field out there. It really creates a pull over to this side. The buildings start to balance it out here. Before you couldn't really see them. And it kind of flows you here. Next is the field. I want to delineate sort of the field. Maybe make this a little bit ochre-y. We'll see. But right now I need to, yeah, I scraped all of that off. Good. I want to make this more homogeneous here right now, although it's kind of darker in here, which is nice. Let's make it a little more green. We won't make it a bright green. I mean, it's a flat plane, so the sun is hitting it, but I don't want to I don't want to do something like that. It's a little bit too harsh. It's too Garrick, too saturated. So the unsaturated green, it's pretty easy. You use your transparent red oxide, your mixed black. You can use a red. Add a little bit of white. That'll really kill it. White has a tremendous ability to kill chroma, that's for sure. Especially in natural pigments. And man-made pigments, it does kill it, but not that much. A little more white. That was a little bit too dark there. Maybe a little bit of a yellow ochre to get a little bit of grassy feeling in there. Put that in. Yeah, I like that. So we'll just put this in like this. There we go. Go past those trees so they don't kiss off at the location of where the trees meet. Kind of give it a jog and come down here. There we go. And as we get to the distance, we want to add a little more white. And we'll add a stroke in here. So even this current field is seen going back, right? It looks like a transition from darker to lighter. And most of my pigment came off there, so I'm going to add a little more here. There we go. So we've transitioned. It's all going this way. But what I want to do now is maybe mix in a little darker green, and we'll create a field. Kind of, we'll split this up here. There we go. So we split that up. I think that could be a little bit flatter in terms of perspective and whatnot. So we'll just adjust it. Erase that. Come in. There we go. Actually, that was to me. I think it got a little bit too flat. Now we'll see what happens first. I'll take some yellow ochre for this field on the right. I just want to put that in there. So we have two fields. One of a green field, more of a yellow ochre field. Lighter in the background. There we go. So we're kind of splitting it up. I think I want to take that. Where's my knife? I'm going to take that cranberry field and I'm going to bring it right over to this tree and probably through the trees as well. So that viridian that we had on there, we're covering it up, but it's still there. Be a nice surprise for anybody who comes close. Put it in there. There we go. Take some of this original viridian, clean up that line a bit. I think we could probably take some of that viridian. And maybe bring it into this field a little bit here, just to create a little bit of interest. So back there. So we've separated the two fields. Looking at this field, it could be a little bit lighter. That original green one that I had, so I will put it back in a little bit lighter than it is. So I made a decision to do something, and I'm going to make a decision to do it again because I don't like how it's reading. I can't remember who said it, but painting is just a series of correcting your mistakes. I pretty much agree with that. However, if you look at someone like Lip King, he just makes the decision and paints and he gets it right away. So there are people who can do amazing stuff right off the bat. We're going to lighten it a little bit. Come in here, put that little bit of lightness in there. There we go. I think we're going to do a transition between the two. So we have this little darker mauve violet in there. Test. A little bit dark, a little bit too warm. So I go to my blues, put some blue in. Test it out. Do another mix. Do another test. A little bit red. So dump a bit of more blue in there. Throw some white in there because blue darkens it up. So it's a dance back and forth. There we go. I like that. So I put it on there, but it's not dark enough. I make the line not so perfect. Skip a beat somewhere here and there. Right? Maybe this line can be partially separating these two fields as well. There we go. Start adding some darks down here. Sort of darken his bottom edge so I don't fall off it. Try darkening this a little bit more right in here, just to create a little bit of interest, because everything's variety, right? Nothing is always the same value. Okay. So overall not bad. I don't like this grouping of trees here, so I'm going to adjust it. So I'm going to go back to that sky color that I had, get a little bit darker, and remove that tree. There we go. Starting to like that shape a little bit better. Lighten a little bit more. There we go, but we have to add some yellow. So there's nothing magical about painting, it's just putting the time in and doing it, making a decision. There we go, I like that a little better. Change the shape of this mass of trees back here as well. There we go. Not sure I really like that tree just hanging out there. See what happens when I erase it entirely. Yeah, not bad. So with that, I will mix the background color for these trees. It's a dark pale green. There we go. A bit dark. Kind of perfect. So I'll just put a tree in here, figure this out. I'll do a single one here. change the variety of the color here a little bit. Maybe we'll just do a bush here. Transition. Bring a bit of that sky color down. Maybe some sky holes as well. What we'll try to do here as well. This was early morning, so maybe what we do is we put a little bit of accentuate the morning sun with the sky. And a little bit of yellow on the horizon as well. Test it. Yeah, it's a bit light. Jack it up. There we go. And just put that in there. That yellow really goes nice with that red of the blueberry fields in the background. I'll add some back here. Just peeking through. Step back, have a look. I think what I'll do is I'll really try to punch out some of the green in this field as well. So I take like a cobalt, my hands are yellow, God. Quite a bit of white. Do a test. There we go. Give it a streak here. Maybe bring some of that into here. There we go. Actually, what I might do, instead of using a knife here, I will just use my brush and get a wider line of that yellow. There we go. Tad much, bring out the chroma. I'll mix a little bit more yellow in. Get some of my brush, and I'll just lay in another bright yellow. Here we go. I'm increasing the chroma because when I stood back and had a look at it, it didn't stand out as much as I wanted, so I just brought a little bit more yellow into it. So stand back. I like that a lot more. It gives a little more more interest, more variety, and I'll just feather that edge a little bit. I don't want it, that top edge anyway. It should blend into the surrounding sky. It shouldn't really stand out that much. There we go. Here we are. It opens it up a little bit more. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to lighten that back area a little bit. Yeah, it doesn't matter how much I lighten it, it's not going to work that well. Let's give this a shot. So I just want to get a little bit of lighter value in here to indicate a little more light in that backfield. There we go. And then what I do is bring some texture into this foreground a little bit here. You can see this yellow ochre stripe. What I want to, because it's dry, I can't really adjust it. I can't adjust it at all. So what I want to do is I want to put another stroke on there, but the same value, same color, same paint basically. So I want to just find that. Yep, and I'll just put that on there. And then what I'm going to do with the back of my brush, just going to scrape in hopes that it'll help bring the texture into that field there. Since instead of being so linear. There we are. Break it up a little bit. Give it some variety. All right, so I just saw one thing I want to do in the sky value here. Bring that in. Getting a cool against the warm. There we go. Bring that down in there. All right, so what I've tried to do is, if we're over here in the buildings with this yellow ochre, and it kind of drives you this way, you sort of look at the field, you look at the pink field in the background, you look at the sunrise coming up in the field, right behind the field, and that kind of brings you up to the clouds, and you come over to the clouds, and then hopefully you'll drop back down again, or you come back the reverse way. You know, your eye, for me, my eye comes here, my kind of comes here, my eye kind of goes up to the clouds, and it kind of ricochets back and forth. And so it's a much better composition, at least, than the original painting was. Better painting, well, we could always debate that, but I find it's a better composition without a doubt. There might be a better way for me to do some little more variety in the background by lightening this red. Maybe give it a little more warmth. And we'll put it somewhere in this field here. There we go. So we get a kind of a warmer red back in the background compared to the cooler red. Well, along with the cooler red, I mean. And it kind of gives a vibration kind of sense. There we are. So it didn't take long. But you can see the value of adjusting a painting after doing it in plein air. Plein air, you're trying to capture the mood, you're trying to capture the atmosphere, you're just kind of trying to capture the entire feeling, and you go for it. You only got like 2 hours, especially when you got a cloud there and a sun coming up. And then it doesn't turn out as you wanted. You have aspects that you love and aspects that you don't love, and instead of cutting it and cropping it, and in this particular situation, that wasn't possible. So I wanted to create a better composition for the painting and to depict more of what I was experiencing and not exactly what I was seeing. So that's why painting in the same area more than once really helps as well, because you can get a better, um, I don't know, better idea of what sense you want out of a painting. So I want to thank you very much for joining me. If you have any questions, you might as well shoot them in the chat right now. Otherwise, we're going to close her down. Give you a couple seconds. All right. So hit that like button. Subscribe. YouTube really likes you to hit that the bell as well. I don't know why, but it always helps. Share it with your friends, of course. And thank you for viewing. I appreciate it. Take care, everyone.